So this video is going to go over the value that I was able to pull out of the 2000 bulk cards that we traded the Clefairy for. And this stack of cards right here is every card that I pulled out that had a 20-cent market value or up. So out of the 2000 cards, we removed about 200 cards that were code cards and energy cards, leaving about 1800 cards. Out of that 1800 cards, there are 381 cards that have a minimum market value based on TCG Player of 20 cents. The vast majority of the cards are right at 20 cents or slightly above. Most of the cards are not above $3. There was only two cards that I know of that were over $3 or around $3. One of them was Journey Together Dunsparce, and then the other one is the Journey Together Hilda. I think it's Journey Together. Well, it's the Hilda card, and she's the number one player staple in the format right now. And I'm not sure she's $3, but between the two, those are the two highest cards that we found out of here. If we average 30 cents for each one of the cards, because some were higher, some were lower, if we average it at 30 cents, for the 381 cards, we pulled out $114.30 in TCG market value. To get these cards, and I'm going to give you the hourly amount, how much processing this, if I was to pay myself an hourly amount, what this would be worth. So it took 2 hours to go get the cards. It took an additional 2 hours and 36 minutes to process the cards, such as set sorting, alphabetizing. And then it took 1.5 hours to sift through through all of this. I used the pricing tab on TCG Player and went literally A through Z on every card. Every card that had a market value over 20 cents, I pulled it out. So the total amount of hours that it took me, and I did a little bit of rounding, is 7 hours. That includes 2 hours to pick up and then the 5 hours to process these cards, from sifting out all of the energy and code cards to set sorting and then alphabetizing and then going through it and pulling out all the valuable cards. So what I have learned is that if I take, now this is not that would also include listing. I plugged in $30, 30 minutes to list these cards. So it would take about 30 minutes for me to list 300 cards. They're already alphabetized, so it would go really quick on the pricing tab. So 7 hours done. Now that does not include packaging and shipping the cards. So I do not have that number built into this. So I have 7 hours. If we divide $114.30 by the 7 hours, we come out to an hourly rate of $16.28. Now I'm going to be upfront with you. This was not worth $16.28 to me. And what I mean by that is I would not want to sit here and do what I just did day in and day out to make my income off of Pokemon cards. There were times when I was set sorting in particular, where just an overwhelming feeling of discontent came over me, and I was like, I just do not want to do this. This is not worth $16 an hour. That doesn't even include packaging. It's $114 in value, market value. After platform fees, how much of that disappears? So that $16 goes way down. I think we might be somewhere around $10 an hour after platform fees. This is just a 2,000 card sample size that I ran. There are other methods of doing this. But if we are just, this is just my opinion, whatever my opinion is worth. from this particular sample size, based on what we pulled and how we are processing this, just pulling value, my opinion is that doing bulk this way is not worth your time. It's not. There are an infinite amount of things that someone can do that is worth way more than $10 an hour. Now, there may be other ways of processing. For example, there were a lot of cards that were 19 cents. They didn't make it in here. There were a lot of cards that were 15 cents. They didn't make it in here. So if we had another 200 to 300 cards between the 15 to 19 cent range, and those could go in there, we could basically double this amount up to around maybe $190 or $200, which would pull our hourly rate up. So that may be an option, but just going off of 20-cent value and up, I would not recommend somebody, from my experience, do this for an hourly wage. We would need to approach this in a different manner than just pulling 20-cent valuable cards out, because this is absolutely grueling. It is absolutely grueling. Now, what I did not take into account here, and what is not calculated into this, is all of the cards. So there's about a little over 1,400 cards left that didn't make it in here. All of those cards are going to be sold back to a bulk company. So all the foils will get 3 cents a piece back on those. All of the common uncommons will be a penny and a half. All the holographic rares will be 6 cents. Minus the shipping. It'll have to go in one large lot. So money will come back on that. So this does not count that money that's going to come back. So let's say that out of this, we have 1,400 cards and we're going to get back 2 cents a piece, right? So you're looking at, what is that, 1,400 times 0.02? You're looking at $28 right there. So if we knock 10% off for the shipping, because it's going to go in a large bulk lot out to them. So you're looking at about $26. So if we were to add the $26 back into this at the $114, it does go up a little bit. So where are we at right now? We had a $30 card that we traded for $30 worth of bulk. We basically have $114 in value. But to process that $114 is going to cost you about 7 hours. That said, if you are a beginner and you don't know what you're looking for, that said, if somebody knew what they were looking for up front, and they didn't have to set, sort, and alphabetize and go through every single card pulling out the 20-cent cards, if that bottleneck was removed, and if the bottleneck of driving an hour and driving an hour back was removed, let's say that we could set it up so that cards came to us, like a brick and mortar, cards came to us. You just removed 4 hours of a bottleneck. Now we have basically 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours into $114, or 100, and if we add in the sellback cards, we're looking at, $140. And your price point would probably be a lot less with a brick and mortar, because, maybe you would give $10 per thousand. I gave $15 per thousand for this. So you're looking at about $150 in value and 2 hours of processing. So you're looking at $75 an hour. But that requires you to be stationary, or that would require us to be stationary and the product to come to us. And it would require knowing up front exactly what cards are going to be pulled. I don't know that information, and I don't know how to get that information other than going through all of the cards. There were things in here that had value that I never would have thought of. I don't like the card. It don't mean anything to me. And there were things that didn't have value that I thought would have value. There was a fancy holographic card. So, oh man, this card's going to be 20, 30. No, it was nothing, So I think that if a person were to do bulk in this way, they would have to have a machine to sift it for them because you wouldn't want to spend your time on it. And the bulk would have to come to you. If the bulk can come to us and we can have a machine pick it for us, then it does become valuable. It does become worth about $75 an hour. But if we have to go get it and process it the way I just processed it, it's about $10 an hour. And I would not recommend somebody do that with their time. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I appreciate you.